All right. Councilmember Compton,
Here.
Emerald Baker. Here. Happy.
Here.
Keller.
Here.
Miller.
Here.
Mayor Dow.
Here. All right. This is our big agenda.
One possible item to add, the board is proposing making May 30th. Captain Tom Cramlett Day in Cascade Locks. They would like to see council do a proclamation which requires a regular session. Would this council like to discuss, just setting up a date to discuss and possibly take action on it?
Councilor Miller?
Since this is a work session and the next session, it can only contain one subject. Do not add another one to it.
Yeah, for a work session.
No,
You'll have to email and then come up with a consensus, email separately. And then come out.
We can do that.
Okay, we will do that. All right, let's get into your discuss city administrator contract.
All right, so there are two options to move forward on this, to discuss as a group in a public setting. According to our city attorney, if the council discusses it as a group, it needs to be in a public setting. Or council can select up to 3 members, so not a quorum, to negotiate with the employee on the city's behalf. How would council like to move forward?
So the question is, do you want one?
I propose that we do it in a public setting, especially considering our budget. That's my opinion.
That consensus?
I agree with Councilman Happy.
Okay.
Which means we can discuss it now.
Yes,
Mhm.
correct.
Yes. Now.
Yeah, I'm perfect.
Councilor Miller, you good?
good.
All right. Let's do it.
Whenever you're ready to share, but
Yeah, I got some stuff to share. That was from Councilor Emerald Baker. And that is from me. There you go. So I don't know, Dave, if you want to talk about yours first.
whatever you think. I just wanted to look at some average salaries to see where we were with our city hall office staff, or all the folks working. And I know there's others that I didn't list, our maintenance but some average salaries received, and these were noted on governmentsalaries.com from April 2024. You can see city manager average salary is 93 in Oregon to 187. So, I thought that it was important for us to look at some of these. And as we are looking in our city, I put some other ones in. The fire chief average salary is 89 to 166. City recorder 54 to 80, about 85. And deputy city recorder 44 to 58, just to look at respectively, comparatively as well. When we're looking at our budget.
Right. Mayor.
Councilmember Miller?
You know, I think the average city manager and fire chief and all this good stuff. But this is the average of all. So you're including Portland, you're including Salem, and all the large cities compared with us. It would have been a lot better if the salary average was 2 cities in our side.
I did have a conversation with the president of the OMA, Oregon Banking Association, asking him about salaries. And where Jordan's at right now is about average for this city, the size of our city. So he double checked with a few other cities and did some research on it, and that's what he came up with, that it's actually pretty average where he's at. So you're not, especially given we have 1,400. So,
And it looks like Jordan also got some data from smaller cities that he shared with us in his packet.
Correct. In the packet I provided, it's kind of a breakdown of where the city was at when I got here. Projects that I've completed since I've gotten here, projects that are in progress, projects that are planned to occur here in the near future, and then kind of some other tidbits of information, as well as, current salary, what the city had proposed, and then my counter offer, as well as salary comparisons for some cities in the area and across the state, and how terms for the contract, in terms of length of the contract as well.
some days on this one where it says indefinite, that all these don't have a time.
Correct. Yeah, which is the vast majority.
Mhm.
So indefinite means that their contract is not ever up, as
Correct.
long as they get good evaluations, they continue.
Correct.
Mhm. So it looks like your severance that we'll talk about that you're asking for 6 months. But one for plus an additional month for every 2 years of service, max of 12 months.
Correct.
And then health insurance, same, definite. So I do know, you've made a lot of great strides. You did come walk into a mess and you've done a lot of great strides. With such a, we're in a crisis with the budget, like a lot of cities, and, after my conversation with the Oregon Leaders Association president, and he confirmed that the 90,000 now is about going rate for a city of our size. He said not every year, I mean, he's been a mayor for a long time, but he said sometimes where people, city halls, they don't even get the 3.5% or the 3 to 5%. I told him we were at about 3.5%, and he says, that's going right, but that's not always, some cities, some years, they don't even get that. If there's, if it's a tough year. I know this year we're really scrambling for every single cent. And so I wanna be mindful of that. Councilman Miller?
I have one other thing, in rating. The cities that we have in here and the population and their salaries. What is lacking is tenure. How many years they've been there, so,
Yeah, on the snapshot, it doesn't,
yeah.
right, but we don't know.
Right.
Yeah, I think that's a very valid.
A lot of these are recent advertisements that were pulled within the last year or two.
Right.
So like Garibaldi just opened up yesterday, 830 population, their low end of that salary range is 100,000.
Garibaldi has a lot of taxes that they put out with their fishermen and stuff,
Mhm.
and they actually have their own police force.
No, they don't. I actually checked their website. It's through the county. They contract through the county.
Well, going back to, this is a tough year, we're doing cuts across, trying to come up with money. And I just really feel like this is the year we just, if we're gonna get raises, it's 3.5% across the board. And, we just need every single cent. We're talking about cutting community projects, or money for communities. We're talking about a lot. And so, and trying to find funds for, Hood River County Police as well. So every single cent counts.
I guess I look at it as. When we did the evaluation, we were positive, like there was positiveness out of what Jordan has done.
Absolutely.
I feel like we need to reward his efforts in what he has done. And yes, I understand that we're pinching pennies, but it's gonna cost a hell of a lot more when he sends a resignation letter into us. Let's keep what we have, like, he's doing a damn good job with the adversity that he's facing. And let's try and throw him a bone here.
I was gonna propose that we split the difference between what we proposed, which was the 95.5, which that was the cost of living adjustment for last year that you skipped. Plus the cost of living adjustment for this year would be the 95.5. You proposed 105, we split the difference between the two. It comes out to $100,250, which, and then I was gonna suggest that for salary severance, we do, 4 months, but plus one year or 1 month for every 2 years of service, maximum 12 months. It's like flow closer to what he's proposing. Everything else lines up. We're talking term indefinite, what we agreed on that. Everything else is the same. So it was really just the salary severance and increasing that and then the salary, but we're really close. And I agree with your comments that you're doing a great job and you walked into, not only learning your new job, but trying to kind of catch up on some things that had fallen behind. And I wish we could do more, for all of our staff. I think we all do. And but that's what we're kind of dropping in your lap is like, let's fix the revenue side of things so that we can do more for our team. I like the idea of doing talked about doing the salary and wage assessment just to see kind of where we are for everybody. But I think that we need to get a better handle on what our operating costs are and how we can cover those through our revenue generating activities.
Councilmember Compton, you have your thoughts or kind of like to hear from each council member?
I like what Hackett to, or Councilmember Hackett saying, what number did you say for the months of salary severance?
I think keeping it 4 or salary, yes, I guess we didn't talk about health insurance either, just salary. I suggested we keep it at 4 plus 1 year for every 2 years of service.
1 month.
Yeah, sorry.
The salary.
Yeah, 4 months plus 1 additional month for every 2 years of service, max of 12 months.
Yeah, there you go. So 4 months salary and 4 months health insurance.
Yes, and then same increase on the health insurance as well, plus 1 month for every 2 years of service.
Any other
Yeah.
comments?
I like that, and definitely with the indefinite term with the renegotiation every 2 years, because then it makes it so that we can budget, we know when things are coming, like we have a 2-year gap, like, okay, in 2 years, we're gonna have to renegotiate salary.
So
Or,
your vote is not for indefinite.
no, it is indefinite, there's a renegotiation of salary every two. Indefinite doesn't mean that he stays at 100 or whatever we agree on. 100,200.
Hang on there.
Well, that's what Happy was saying,
Right.
on the split difference, every indefinitely, we're not locking them in there. There's cost of living every year, but in here, he has his proposed is renegotiate every 2 years, and I don't dislike that, because it's basically like how we have he's not necessarily like, oh, this negotiation has to happen and we have to agree, or you don't have a contract. It's more like, hey, it's 2 years, I would, maybe if I've done a good job, maybe we can talk about having some more money. It depends on how we are doing as a city too, like,
Mhm.
It could also, it allows for the opportunity to incentivize,
Mhm.
performance, right? We get the budget under control, we get our finance department straightened out. Then we have more wiggle room for, he's got a lot of things that he's identified that he wants to work on. Or the work projects that are in process, we start knocking off some of these things, and that definitely gives us,
and plus it's a negotiation, it's not a like written in stone, this is your increase this year. And, cause what happens if in the next 2 years, we have a second COVID or something similar, and like the prices of things spiral out of control again, like maybe $100,000 is not enough to sustain a family. That's when we renegotiate, but
So how does council feel about salary severance, 4 months, health insurance severance, 4 months? Starting at 4 months, with adding 1 month additional for every 2 years of service.
I like that.
I'm agreeing with what Councilman Happy's proposed. Splitting the difference, I'd like to get over the $100,000 hump.
Councilman Miller, do you have what's your thoughts?
No, I'm seeing there'd be a reduction in our tax base by another company moving out. So I think the original 95.5 is what we can afford. Anything above that, but with the inclusion of Councilman Happy's suggestion on health and welfare, that'd be fine, but I would not go above the original 95.5.
Well, I think that the discussion of, Jordan, you're doing a great job and you've listed out a lot of meaning things, but we have a fire chief who's doing exceptionally well, but we can't up his rate, 10,000. So, I just know this year, it's like, unfortunately, every single cent, every year it's important. But this year is really, really critical when the council is faced with cutting police, that service. So I really think that every single cent counts. I think that to go with Councilmember Miller, the 95 going back, to add a percentage from last year, and then this year. I would love to give every manager up there, and our fire chief and everything, I'd love to see them make more. But I know this year in particular, like I'm gonna go back to say, we're cutting community things, we're trying to find money.
So tonight, it's just discussion.
It would be a consensus number to move forward.
Okay, And I just need to reiterate, because we are a public meeting, that we're not faced with cutting the police, we're faced with cutting an extra contract.
Correct.
To sheriff, it's an extra.
Correct.
Now, we're limited to discuss administrative contract on my.
No, I understand, I was
Yeah.
correcting the language.
So it sounds like we're in consensus for the 4 months, and the 4 months on those. We're all good with that. It just gets down to salary.
How about the renegotiation for 2 years? Is that something that everybody can get behind that? What do you think about that, Butch?
What was that?
So Jordan was proposing that we renegotiate his contract every 2 years. That was something that, you know, we hadn't included in our initial offer. What are your thoughts on?
I'd be fine with that.
So I think I think we have consensus then on the health insurance, the salary severance, and renegotiation of the contract. The only thing that we have,
Renegotiation of the salary.
Base, base salary,
base salary.
yes, base salary.
So it wouldn't be a renegotiation for everything, it would just be for the base salary every 2 years. So the only thing I guess that we need to nail down then will be the salary, right?
Yeah.
I would just like to reiterate something Councilman Keller said, is that we're quibbling over right now 5,
Less than $750.
yeah. Well, actually, less than 6,000, it's more like 5,000.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Oh, you're right.
Less than 5. We're
Less
quibbling
than
over less than $5,000 over a year to keep our current city administrator, which would be more expensive for the city to lose and replace. Because we have to put out headhunter, we have to put out job descriptions without a city administrator. Our already taxed city staff. And then they would have to take over the jobs, and we have a whole bunch of projects that are in motion that would not have the overseement that they would have normally by losing that administrator. And we don't, unless I'm wrong, we're not unhappy with the work we've done. There's always room for improvement. But we would like to keep you.
Would like to say.
Councilmember Baker.
And I agree, we'd like you to stay, I think there's been, again, room for improvement, but you've done a lot, and you've even brought grants in, and we appreciate that. And I'm still leaning toward what Councilman Happy proposed as an in-between, because as we're just discussing your contract, that extra 5 could be used elsewhere, and I might touch this, so that, that there is some fairness in, the leadership positions, anyway, that I'm just saying that, yes, I agree, and I know it seems like a small amount, but it's a small amount that adds up with other small amounts that we're gonna be using elsewhere. So that's why I like we propose and counter proposal, we come in the middle, I hope. That's what I'm hoping.
So Councilmember Happy, what's the dollar amount you're proposing?
It was $100,250.
So $10,000.
And I mean, this is really the COLA adjustment for last year, the COLA adjustment for this year. So it's 100,250 divided by 500. It's 4 point, it's like 5% over
Right.
that, so it's like a 5% raise on top of the COLA adjustment that.
Well, he's at 90,000, not 95.
Right, and that's because he did not get the COLA adjustment
Right.
last year or this year. So
Right.
he got the COLA adjustment last year and this year, that would get him up to 95.5. This is 5% above that.
Councilmember Millie?
I would, maybe as a suggestion that we offer a COLA advancement in the mid-year. And then negotiate on the second year.
Say that again?
Say it, I'm not following.
Okay. We give them a 2-year contract, right? The mid-year, 1 year from now. We give them a COLA advancement. And then in the second year, we renegotiate.
That's already stated. That's already written.
Yeah.
I think that, yeah, we're all in agreement on that. I don't think it was written down, it was something we just discussed.
Oh, it's on our sheet, match the rest of staff COLA.
Yes.
Yeah. We want to each one go around, so I think I know where everyone's at. So Councilmember Happy, you're 100,250, or do you want to talk?
Can I have my turn?
Yes, please. Yes, please.
Um,
Please do.
I'll start with severance. There's an election coming up this fall and 4 of you could be gone, and I am fully aware there are people in this town who do not. 4 months is not a lot in terms of finding a job, it's definitely in this field. I would prefer 6 months severance package. And even lowering whatever it is, instead of 1 every 2 years, 1 every 3 years. But having it at 6 months right now, is where I would be comfortable.
Then renegotiate for 3 years?
No,
Is what we're-
But, you know,
increase the month.
Oh, that,
salary severance would be 6 months
okay,
if I am fired without cause.
okay.
And then it would go up 1 year
1
every
month.
3 years, or 1 month every 3 years, but start at a base of 6 months.
So switch it to 3 years.
And that max may be 8 months. I mean, whatever. But I think 6 months needs to be where it starts.
Councilmember Keller?
When I was researching, when going through these contracts, one, I don't remember what city it was, there was a clause that said within 12 months of an election, that if he was the city administrator, or manager, whatever town this was, that if they were fired without cause within that time, the severance was substantially increased. So that the new council couldn't just come in and wipe him clean, that there was a consequence to that decision.
I like that, and it makes sense what you're saying with the council. So would that be written, would you like those parameters written in? If it's
Well, I was just trying to think of,
an election year, I mean, is it different if it's an election year or keep it at just 6 months?
it was, I don't remember the exact terminology, but it was in an election, like even year, like we vote in an even year. So when the new I don't remember if it was from the election date or from when the new council was seated. And then there was a parameter of time. That, my guess is that Jordan would have a sense, or whoever the city manager would be, would have a sense of how the new council feels. And kind of give them a buffer room. But that if he was hired without cause within that time, there was additional severance added.
Councilmember Happy?
So just so I can understand, just make sure I restate it, you're suggesting, salary severance 6 months plus 1 month for every 3 years of service with a max of 8 months.
Yeah, we can do that. Yeah.
And, health insurance, you're not as concerned about,
No, my God.
so 4 months with, an additional 1 month for every 2 years of service with a max of 12 months.
Yeah, that can be the same. Yeah.
I'm agreeable to that, I understand his concerns. the same time, I'm also looking at all the cities that are trying to hire, I'm like, I think you'd probably be able to land something,
Well, I'm also buying a house, so I'm not moving, staying in the greater Portland area, so.
I'm agreeable to that, as I mentioned before, when bargaining school district contracts, if we can. If we have to not give the money that we might think is right, then giving language is a nice. And this is language that he likes, so I'm willing to give that.
and the only real consequence happens is if we have a new council, we decide to go to the city administrator. And I think that would make that consequence would make that, more of a serious discussion as opposed to we can find.
So salary severance, when we recap it, 6 months. And then plus 1 month for every 3 years of service, maximum 8 months.
Yep.
And then health insurance would be severance 4 months. Plus 1 month for every 2 years of service. Is that right?
Yep.
And then max on that one, 12 months, is that what?
Yeah.
I would max it at the same as the severance.
Yeah, that's, it's fine.
Max of 8.
Does it make it more clean to have the terms similar for the health insurance as it is for salary? I mean, the 4 months, but it was. If we 1 month for every 3 years of service on that.
Always keep track, somebody keeps track of it, I think we're good.
I think it would be helpful to have it the
Maybe the whole-
same. So salary and health would be 6 months.
I say just keep them the same, 6 months and 6 months and do 1 year or 1 month for every 3 years of service with a max of 8 months, just keep the term the same.
How does that sound? Sound good?
Yep.
Does, and would your prior service count for years of service?
Yes, okay.
Is everybody in agreement to that part? You know, okay, so now we gotta figure out salary,
And
and we're close.
Start time,
that
contract time.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that effective date would be July 1. So when the new budget kicks in, this would be the effective date of the new contract. Yeah. That, yeah, I didn't add that in there.
We started it early and then we pick up this.
Let's make it clean with the budget.
Mhm. Okay. So, we go back to salary, so we're close, we're darn close. So Jordan, you're currently at 90, is that right?
Correct. And I would like to propose the 100,250, July 1st. And then a base salary bump to 105, July 1st, 2025. And then renegotiate for July 1, 2026.
Can you repeat that, please?
So July 1, 2024 would be $100,250. July 1 automatically increased to 105,000. And then
July 1, 2025?
2025, next year,
regardless of what the COLA is, you would get.
it would go up to 105, yeah. So that'd be the base salary. Then there'd be the COLA on top of that. And then we'd renegotiate for July 1, 2026 for the base salary,
So just to be clear, you're saying 105 plus the COLA?
plus the COLA.
Is it common to propose a salary for the following year? When we haven't seen our budget for that next year.
I feel like we made some concessions on the salary and the health insurance. I think
The
that's,
severance. and how-
yes, the salary and health insurance severance, correct.
Mhm.
And adding in the renegotiation for the salary every 2 years. I'm not in favor of the proposal to make an adjustment on July 2025. Is that right?
25, yeah.
25. I would be supportive of that.
Supportive of not
Of
supportive.
not supportive of that, yeah. So I just know that, like, I wanna go back to the budget, it's just,
We don't know what winter could bring.
right.
Video.
Hopefully, we're sitting quite a bit different, but I do know that, you know, I mean, if an employee's gonna leave over $5,000, then they weren't staying anyway, and Jordan, I hope you don't leave, so.
Wouldn't be over $5,000.
No, not over $5,000, and then also, if I've ever hired anybody, employees or something, if I've ever had an employee where I was fearful that they were gonna leave. And not, then I'm like, you're not a good fit. So, it's not to say the city administrator isn't valued or the strides that he's made, it's been tough and he's made a tremendous amount of strides. But so have other, department heads as well. So I just think that for this year, we're just really tight. As much as I would love to say, yep, you're worth 110 and love to give you $20,000. But this year, we're looking at cuts like everywhere. So it's not to say we're not appreciative or valued or anything like that, we just simply don't have it. So we gotta come up with a consensus.
If I had 15 years' experience, would this be a different conversation?
I think if you had 15 years.
Well, you would have started out higher.
Yeah.
So it would be, we wouldn't even be having this conversation, because if you had 15 years experience, you would have started out at the top of the rate.
Would you expect a different result? You would expect the same, whether I have 1 year or 15 years, I think you would expect the same job to be accomplished.
Correct.
Yes, so the only thing I don't have is the experience, even though you'd expect the same results.
Well, it's with any position, I mean, I would expect good results. So, but we advertise that because that is someone coming in at the top. They've got, 10+ years as a city administrator. So,
I was gonna say, it's not so much the experience, it's really about the fiscal health of the city itself. I do think that if we had a more tenured city administrator, perhaps some of the challenges we're seeing in our enterprise funds would have been, sewer in particular, would have been identified sooner. Potentially, the health of our general fund would be in such a state that we wouldn't be having to nitpick over, numbers.
$5,000.
So that's my take on it.
Councilmember Keller?
The city previously paid $110,000 for a city administrator that created or was substantially involved in the issues that we are now facing. And Jordan is cleaning that mess up. The city offered him 110, that gentleman was being paid 110. This, I feel like it's a deal at 100.
That was my point, I was hesitant to say, is you had somebody here who had 20, 30 years of experience. And we're still in this situation.
Councilmember Baker?
I just wanna. I agree. And in this idea of fairness. Within our budget, whether it's programs or community service or other salaries. You know where my heart is, that there's somebody in particular who's way below minimum for the state. And at least the salary we're proposing is low, it's low, average, but there's only one on this sheet who's way below, and it's hard in a time where we don't have enough money that's why I just appreciate. I mean, if it gets down to it and this body wants to go 105, of course, I'm gonna agree, but if we can, with the language that you've asked for, which I think is good language. stay at the 100. I feel like it's respectful to some other salaries that should be increased. That's my thoughts on that. It's, yeah, doesn't have to do, I think you're doing a great job, and I know you've inherited a lot of things.
So it sounds like a little bit divided, so it's either the 95 or 100. Let's switch lines, you know.
I think everybody was supportive of $100,000, $250, except for Mr. Miller.
Yeah,
I just,
And let me explain. If, I know Mr. Keller didn't like our previous CA, but he had a lot of experience. And this process is not always the CA, because this council is the one that's giving him the orders. So you just can't blame it on him. And I know a lot of things that happened in the past, especially this last few years, would not have happened with him at the helm. So, you know, we can try to balance everything out. But I think at this point, and with his tenure, that the 95.5 is appropriate. That's it.
I know the word fairness has come up, you know, and be fair, and that's why I'm a proponent of 3.5% across the board. So that's my reason, and that this is a tough year. So we can get into the weeds if somebody deserves it or not, or not, but it's a tough year, it's a tough year,
I was gonna say nothing in life is fair.
right,
I
right,
was just saying,
exactly, it's not.
That's reality.
It's true. It's true. So, but this is up to council and how do you want to move forward?
Butch, what if we split the difference between our number and your number? Or our new number and our old number?
This was your old number,
I know. I'm trying to be,
and I was stretched to be there. So, I
so
think,
you think, keep it 95.5 and then make the concessions on renegotiating the contract,
Yeah.
increasing the salary and the health insurance severance.
I mean, how many people in this town get $5,000 a year raise? Yeah.
Well,
Mr. Keller.
yes.
No, no.
Did you have a comment, Mr.
Yeah, I guess the most difficult thing for me to come into this, Mr. Miller, is that I don't understand the level of executives. Like, their contracts are funny, like the superintendent of our school district got fired, yet they still got a year of salary, and it comes with the territory of that high level of responsibility. And, yes, I would love $100 or $5,000 raise, that would be amazing, but like that, it comes with the territory of that position. It's the schooling, it's the responsibility, he could be fired on June 7th or whenever we meet again, like, all of that is the uncertainty of it, like. I guess, that, I don't know where I'm going, but I'll stop there.
I think to your point, it is, I mean, with any, it comes with the territory, basically, is what you're saying.
and I think even in this tough budget year, that we made a proposal, he made a proposal, we came back in the middle, that's why I'm still going for that 100,250.
Councilmember Keller?
I don't know the contract, and so I'm just speaking on what was beneficial in our teacher world. What if we did 95.5 with the city picking up the full purse?
Already does.
Oh, it already does.
Already done.
Aw, dang it.
Yes, yeah, already does.
I appreciate you being creative, but it already
Just the
does.
icing on the cake.
Well, then, I'm gonna say, I propose that we move forward with 95.5, and we have made concessions on the salary severance and the health insurance severance and renegotiating the contract. It is. Feels nitpicky over, $4,750 or whatever this is. But the reality, Councilman Emily Baker brought up, we are being nitpicky with the budget right now. We do need to watch our pennies and, we get this straightened out, we can, we got the COLA adjustment next year, and then 2 years out, we renegotiate the contract. It's no reason why the challenges that we're facing right now could be in our rearview mirror and on the list of things that you've accomplished the next time around.
Councilmember Baker?
Maybe, because we haven't heard from City Administrator Bennett on this new proposal. If I was going to agree to that, I would maybe want to add language that said renegotiate in 2025 and then every 2 years, so that he had that option similar to what he proposed before with a number, but we can say no, renegotiate in 2025.
Get behind that.
Plus then every 2 years.
I put that out.
Thank you, Mr. Miller, must have stuck in my head.
All right. So how does council feel about that? Councilman Compton?
I mean, I don't have a problem with that. I mean, I said it before, we're nitpicking over a couple $1,000s that. Yeah, the budget's tight, but like, what are we gonna fund with $5,000?
Well, I think in this budget year, I know.
We're talking about things that have already been cut, that are like. The things that we've already like proposed about cutting to get us a. Different amenity in this town. Are substantial, and if we. But what's. Is $5,000 gonna get us there? Yes or no? Probably not. That's why it doesn't really like. We're quibbling. And we're playing a dangerous game, because I don't want Jordan to go, oh. These terms aren't really great, so I'm gonna apply to a different town nearby, and then we're stuck. Doing this whole process again with a brand new person who we know nothing about, who has no. If we have to go with experience on. Whatever somebody wrote down on a piece of paper and a few reference calls. And no one ever says anything super bad on a reference call, that's why you don't put, because you don't put people that are gonna give you bad references on a reference call, so.
So I know that the words nitpickings come up and stuff, but the thing is it every cent does really count, especially this year. Especially this year,
I mean,
every single
always
cent. I mean, I would hate to, tell a different employee head that. $4,000 or $5,000 would be astronomical to them to get a raise that much. And so I don't think it's being nitpicky. I just think we gotta figure out, every cent does matter and count. So we gotta figure out where are we going from there.
I guess what I'm hearing is that it's been determined. That these huge budget cuts need to occur for said amenity. And we haven't even come to that agreement. And when I hear the amenity and then. That's a huge cost that we can roll over to support the department heads of each of the departments. We have to have that conversation first, if I'm willing to drop. But I don't think we can.
We can.
What number are you hoping to agree for?
I'm at 100. That's what I feel like is fair.
I can do 100 for the next 2 years.
I'm gonna-
Renegotiate in 2026.
And the other proposal was 95 5, 95.5, renegotiate in
Next year,
next year.
and then every 2 years after.
Mhm. So it sounds like we're down to those two. Is that an agreement on those? Yeah,
And we're talking,
I still lean toward the 100 to 50.
so like by doing that renegotiate in 1 year, are we hoping that we magically fix the budget and that there's more money to spend? Or are we gonna be right where we are now and going, oh, we can only basically give you COLA? Cause like,
Oh, yeah, I'll just be asking for even more money next time, so.
cause we have another year of experience, and then that goes into that whole experience thing, and it's like. It's,
I think that magically, that we do have 45 homes that are coming in. We can't count on it for this budget year.
but we don't.
Next year we'll,
We can't even necessarily count on next year, because they have to be done, and they have to have people in them for us to start collecting anything off of that. So it's. When we're talking about 1 year,
right,
and we'll be right back here. Saying the same things, because it will still be a hard budget year, because it's gonna be hard for a while. And we need to lock something, or. It'll go more, because
right.
I mean, I know that if I put another hard year in and I was. Basically only got a COLA and I was in a place to negotiate, I would ask for more,
Mhm.
especially after turning the. Struggling budget around.
I just want to remind the audience to, if you have conversations, take them outside, because the side comments, the whispering, all that, it takes away from the work session and it's hard to stay concentrated sometimes. So I ask if you could do that, please. That'd be great. Thank you.
So Sean, are you for the 100 then?
Yeah, I mean,
Councilman Keller, you're.
I think this is the opportunity for the city to put forth some sort of revenue source to show and to get the budget back on track. This is the opportunity that we have. Do you want the amenity? Or do you want everything in the world cut? And there are things that this city needs to move forward on. And this is the opportunity to do it. And so, yes, we're squabbling about $4,500. That's worth it to me. Like, I feel like that's where we should go. And I know that there are going to be incredibly frustrated people in this community over that number. But it's the chance that we have to leverage the amenity and all the things that we do care about and put that forward to the voters. Like, you want it? Here, this is what it takes to pay for it.
And then for the 100,000.
I'm gonna say there's been good discussion. I appreciate and the back and forth and City Administrator Bennett has agreed to come down to this medium level, and that's why I think that with that agreement verbal, that I'm gonna say that is my first choice that we go with.
Councilman Miller, I know where you're at, but you wanna restate?
$5,000, how many, sewer reductions do we have for senior citizens that haven't paid for? $5,000, that covers all the material that we use for the restroom down there in Overlook Park. And $5,000 is a lot when you look at where it's gonna go or could go. So. Now. And quite frankly. I look at tenure. I know Jordan's doing a good job. I like him personally. He's straight up and everything, but. we don't know what's coming at us in this next year. And until we know that, you know, a $5,500 raise, wow, to me, that's good. No. So.
You're at the 95 then,
I'm at the 95,
and then you're okay with the.
I'm okay with the rest of it.
So I just want to point out that it's not really a $5,500 raise. On paper, it says $5,500. But $95,500 now will buy him exactly what $90,000 would have bought him 2 years ago. What we're talking about is giving him an additional 5% raise in recognition of the contributions he's made in the last 2 years. And I think that we have a different city administrator now than we did when Jordan started in his position. And so that's why I think that that's fair. The additional $4,500, because really there's a lot that you've learned in the last 2 years, and so I think that that's a small token of our appreciation, and I think that we should reward performance.
Councilmember Kennedy?
I think we should all understand in economics land, the real wage that you're making is far less now than it was 2 years ago. His buying power isn't the same. That's what a COLA is raising that up so that he can purchase the same groceries, purchase the same home, like.
So 95.5 is actually keeping it exactly flat.
I would argue less, but.
Yes, I think, yeah, that's debatable, but I think you're probably right. I mean, you go to the grocery store, we all feel that.
Councilmember Miller?
I'm sorry, but everybody else in this city is under that same thing. Our paychecks or retirement or whatever don't go as far as they did 2 years ago. So.
So you understand?
Mhm. Do you have your hand up, Councilmember Crompton?
No.
No? Okay. All right, Councilmember Baker,
What is our next step then?
we have to come up with the salary, and it sounds like there's a little bit of disagreement.
Do we have to have 100% agreement?
This is council, this is.
Council can come to consensus tonight. I will work with the city attorney to put the contract together. That will be presented at the next or the following council meeting for official review and vote.
And public comment.
And for our budget sessions, we won't put that figure in until after the official council meeting.
Correct.
So consensus is not 100%, consensus is 100%.
I would say if 5 of the 6 are good, that's enough to at least move forward to get the process going.
So I propose that we move forward with the terms that we've discussed and,
I restate those terms.
yeah, I'd say we stick with $100,250, splitting the difference, $100,250 to split the difference between, Jordan's proposal and what we proposed. COLA would be matching this rest of the staff. Renegotiating salary every 2 years. Salary severance would be 6 months plus 1 month for every 3 years of service with a max of 8 months. Health insurance severance would be 6 months plus 1 month for every 3 years of service with a max of 8 months. Term is indefinite. Cell phone stipend, $100. Oregon FERS, the city would cover employee portion, and professional dues, the city would cover.
Okay. So that's,
No, I'm voting for that. I'm in consensus with that.
Councilman Keller? Councilman Butch?
Nope.
Butch and I are, no.
Okay, so
Boy, that's a first.
where do we go from here if we can't? We need something to move forward.
So is
for-
everything in agreement except for the salary number? Is that the only
Yes.
one that you and Butch don't agree on? And what's your number?
So I'm the 95 with the 3.5% this year, plus what last year, what he didn't get. That's where I'm coming up with 95.
So
And
you're
then
saying,
renegotiate next year and
so just to reiterate, then what you and Butch are both proposing is to keep his salary exactly the same as where it was when he started with the cost of living adjustment. So essentially, his take home pay is not going to change.
it's going from 90 to.
Right, spending
Yeah.
power with the cost of living adjustment would mean that
Right.
he's making the same as he was when he was having. this.
I'm a big proponent this year, 3.5% across the board. That's where I'm at. Because it's tough here and we don't have a lot of stuff done. So it's hard to spend it for me. Jordan?
Well, 4 out of 6 are good with 100. I can move forward with that number in drafting the contract. And then it goes to a vote.
But, sorry, I didn't interrupt. Does that mean, once the contract's written, no more negotiation?
No, I think once it will be presented. Like every other item on a council meeting, it comes up, there's a staff report, there's a motion, a second, and then moved into discussion. And then I will double check with the attorney, but then we could amend motions from there.
So it'll be under an action item.
Yes, it would be an action.
And there'll be public discussion.
I guess I don't feel comfortable without a consensus.
Yeah, a higher consensus.
Yeah,
But if it comes as an action item, could we then change the amount at that time?
Yes.
So during a vote, we could do a discussion.
I guess I would say that for numbers 2. And what would be the willingness to concede that if the board that have already supported that, like, I don't think the way,
It takes a 4 vote majority to
Yeah.
pass, so you want.
Right.
yeah, so why would I want to concede if I already have the majority?
Well, depending on what kind
Well,
of
why are
comment
you
you're
uncomfortable
about
going forward then?
community.
Yeah, I mean, that's true, right? Yeah, it needs to be.
That's one area where I can see potentially we could get some community input where it might alter my perspective too.
What if, here's a third, it's reaching, but what if we split between the 95 and the 100?
That's even more like granular, like.
Well, that's where we're at though, unfortunately. We're literally discussing over like 5 or 10,000. In this big of a budget, I mean, it's not a lot, but every cent counts. How would council feel about that?
Let me do some math.
Do some math. Do some math. We gotta figure it out.
The other option is keep it at 95.5. With the salary and health insurance severance, we've made some concessions there. And then, as Jordan suggested, we renegotiate next year, July 2025, and then every 2 years after that. What are your thoughts about that?
I'm good with that. I think Councilman Miller, how do you feel about that?
Okay.
And what do you guys think about that? I know that we're not giving him what he's asking for right now, but we are saying, let's fix what we got. I don't think it's magic. I don't think it's magic, it's math. And I think that Jordan is incredibly smart, and we've got a lot of brain power in council. We got a lot of smart people in our community. We've got time. We can figure this out. It's not magic. We get this sorted out in 12 months, and now we have a very good ammunition for why that raise is not only affordable, but justified.
All right,
Okay. So at 100,000 even, not the 250, take home pay would be $8,333. I propose we go to 96, which would be 8,000 flat. And so that would be a difference of $333 per month of take home pay, which would be, by the time taxes and PERS and all that junk would be minuscule.
So go to 95, or excuse me, 96.
I just like clean.
I like that. And then what do you think about renegotiating the contract in 12 months and every 2 years after that?
I think it's important if we're not giving him 100. Yes, to do that.
I guess personally, I say if we get a levy passed, then let's do it, like, I mean. It's been a huge thing, like, let's give him the raise that he deserves, because he got the, like, he was instrumental in getting the levy passed.
So you're 96,000, $8,000 a month, and then renegotiate the contract in 12 months, and then every 2 years after that.
I mean, that numbers, sure.
We actually have
Yeah.
consensus?
I mean,
Okay.
I don't like it, it's just like, it's one of those
Well, none
things
of
where,
us like it.
well, yeah, no one likes anything, but like,
Right.
we're talking about giving him a raise, cause the other thing is not really a raise, that's just a thing that should have been on his contract that wasn't. A COLA, and the COLA increase, so if he had that on the contract to begin with. That extra percentage that like, we talked about, the 5,500, would have already been given to him. We just forgot to do it.
We're just trying to
Well,
move
not
forward.
forgot, but like,
Yeah,
and now we're just trying to set things right, put COLAs in,
right.
and then we're like, and here's $500.
Well,
Well, I know.
Well, that's what that is.
No,
I mean,
the
like-
salary severance
No.
was one of Jordan's primary
Well,
concerns.
yes, I'm saying like
And that's a
that,
huge,
and we didn't concede to
Right.
make concessions there. But we didn't concede, we didn't even meet him really, I mean, we met him half-ish way there, like, I would say we didn't lose on that deal. Compared to where we were. In our original ask. But I don't know. That's because that's what it feels like the five, like, yeah, I like that round numbers, I'm more okay with not having an extra 250 or a $500 in there, but. It just feels,
but we're also saying in 12 months, let's talk again.
yeah,
Mayor Fallon suggested somewhere between, and I know because it is really measly, 500, ridiculous.
500.
Let's say 97,500 is an extra 100 a month. I mean, that's not a lot, it's an extra 100. Well, 97,500 is in between, sort of.
Councilmember Miller.
I mean, you've got a 95.5 or 96. And it's starting at the beginning of the new budget. Then 6 months later, he's getting a COLA.
No, COLAs are at the beginning of the budget year, so July 1.
Oh,
The next July, yeah.
you don't give him the same time I do, huh?
Yeah.
Okay.
I didn't do the math right, so if I put 12.
But a COLA is not a raise, it's, I mean, it is a raise in your number, but it doesn't. It doesn't effectively, like, it's not a, oh, good job, you did well in your job, here's your COLA. That's what you're expected to get, it's not a, well, here's a little prize, it's not. That's why it's cost of living increase, it's because costs go up. That's why the talk about the COLA being the prize is a little bit like.
Yeah.
It's not, it's the bare minimum.
I would be supportive of the 96 with the renegotiation next year. And then also with the salary severance and the health severance, that we make concessions on that. For this year. Yeah. That is,
Good.
That's what this body wants. if Jordan's willing to. Has nothing to say.
I got nothing more to add.
I mean, I think if we go down the path of somebody's doing a good job or not, they're, like, I go back to different department heads that are doing amazing and they're severely underpaid. So it's that the question is not that Jordan's you're on the right path, you're doing great, lots of strides, and then hopefully next year our budget will be so. Nice and off. So how does everyone feel about 96 with keep it at the 6 months salary, severance,
So
and then plus, or go ahead.
I was just gonna say salary and health insurance severance would be 6 months plus 1 month for every 3 years of service with a max of 8 months. Term is indefinite, cell phone stipends $100 a month, or 100. Is that per month or annually?
Per month.
Okay. And then Oregon PERS, city covers or employee portion and city covers for professional dues, salary 96,000 with negotiation, next year. Is it July of 2025 will be the date for the contractor negotiation? Or-
That would be in effect, so it'd be happening exactly a year from now or even sooner.
Yeah. So,
Mhm. How does that sound to council?
If that's what the body wants, I'll stay there. I could go up a little more, but.
Councilman Miller?
No, I'm not gonna quibble over $500.
Okay. So is it consensus, thumbs up?
I guess Sean's comment of a $500 base, like, killed me. Like that.
I mean, I was just
can't
doing some
imagine.
quick math here too.
No, I mean, it is, but.
And, like, the difference between where, like, 100,000-ish to where the COLA would bring him to, would be giving him like a $2.20 raise. If we was wage, if he was wage, but he works way more than 40 hours a week, so we get, that's way more than. Like, we're getting better deals than that on it, I'm just, because like. I work a wage job, so wage things make more sense to me when I'm like, oh, how much are we, is his raise? Oh, it's $2.
I think that, just to summarize, the three of us were actually in agreement and consensus to actually do 100,000. There were 2 people on council that were not in consensus with that because of the state of our current budget. That's why we then said, let's go for 96,000, and then renegotiate for 12 months.
I mean, we can do that, I mean, I don't like either of those options, but
Wow. And then
not that it
all,
matters because it's.
The 97.7 would be a $1,200 a year increase. Which isn't much, but it's something in my brain.
So. The $500 increase is actually a 24 cents. Bonus, like a raise increase
Per hour.
per hour.
Yeah, I think that that's ridiculous
That's-
compensation, like, he's a salaried employee, he doesn't work hourly,
No, that's what I'm saying, like, if he worked,
but he doesn't.
so he works more.
But who knows what he works, I mean, it's irrelevant, he's a salaried employee, it's not a wage, he's a salaried employee, he's not an hourly.
so, and then I just want to remind council as well, the conversations I had with the OMA president. He said there's a lot of cities that years, nobody gets a raise, nothing, everyone base stays flat. And so it's not something that
Which is
is,
anyway.
it's a bummer to not get a raise, but it's not uncommon for a city to say, hey, we don't have the money, nobody's getting a raise this year. So that can happen.
Like I said, I'll go with the 9.6.
So you're
Yeah, I mean, I
okay.
honestly don't like it. but I'll go with that, that move this forward.
Okay. Councilmember Keller,
Sorry, I'm stuck on Mr. Compton's comment. I feel like this is the biggest slap in the face. Like, I know I proposed it and I know that the math, but then, like, I gotta change my perspective on it. That's.
We are making the concessions though on the severance though. I mean, you don't see, I mean, that was, I felt like his number one concern that he brought to council was just the fact that we're gonna have 4 new council members after the next election and he could be out. And so, you know, I think we heard him on that and that's why we agreed to make that adjustment. We've got the COLA adjustment in there for going forward as well. But you know, I hear what you're saying. And I agree with you. I mean, I think we all would like to pay our staff more money. You know, I think that's one of the, you know, we've heard that from everybody here. But our budget just really can't support it. So, I mean, I guess what I thought I heard you saying was it felt like a slap in the face to only be giving them $500 raise on top of the COLA adjustment. It's really not a $500 raise. We're just trying to make a nice round number. Really, the biggest area where I see the movement forward is we've got it written in the contract that we're gonna renegotiate in 12 months and every 2 years after that, and he gets the severance for health insurance and salary.
so it sounds like Councilmember Compton and Councilmember Keller, are you?
I don't mind being lone wolf in this.
Right.
We'll move forward as whatever happens in our next meeting. That's fine, but.
I mean, we have to figure out something to write, but
Is there
But if
another,
I'm the lone wolf in this, I mean, we go 5-1, like.
is there another number that you would want to propose?
I mean, I think we're just gonna be having the exact same argument 20 different ways. I have my perspective on the budget, you guys all have a different perspective on the budget, and that's where we're at. I mean,
I know words have been brought up like slap in the face or it's not fair, things like that, but let's say, you know, Chief Logan, well, you said.
No, we can't talk about.
And
Yes.
this is true, we'll say another department head, but they're getting straight raises across the board. So it's,
I was just gonna ask, what's more important to you, the salary or the severance?
Probably the severance slightly, just not knowing what's gonna happen in 6 months.
I mean, that's what I thought I understood
Yeah.
was your primary concern, was that little bit of peace of mind to know that you've got a little bit of wiggle room in case there's, I mean, you look at the job security for city administrators is not a good track record, you know, just like for anybody, you know, it's just, you really follow the limbs of the political gravity. And so that's the reality of the career that he's in. We recognize that, so.
it's part of the job. So are we back to, where are we at? So,
start on that side of the table and then you can come this way.
I think it comes down to you.
I mean, I'm right there, like. 100,000 sounds fair. I mean, I'm not gonna give you 250, because that's.
oh, I keep going back to, you know, it's not that it's not fair. That doesn't even enter right, it's just, it's what we can do as a city financially, that's where I'm at.
You can.
Is it like, good job, bad job, fair, not fair? But I just get down to what we can do at the city for right now for this budget season, this budget. That's where I'm at.
Yeah.
So I would love to
understand
give
your
huge
opinion.
raises, but
I understand,
yeah.
I'm still where I'm at. And like, it's just.
it's gonna come down to our differences in the budget and and what I see and what I vision is gonna be completely different. That's where we're at. I see, yeah, I don't think we can discuss it.
So it's still not clear where council wants to go with this.
I think it's 42.
Happy have you changed your mind on the 100, or would you put that in as the moving forward, put that in the contract, we can have the vote.
Well, we're not gonna have consensus whether we do 100,000 or we do 96,000.
I mean, we'll have a quorum.
We have majority vote, but it is still, you know, so I can go either way. Like I said, you know, we did 100,000. But it's a 2-year renewal on the contract with the salary and health insurance severance is what we've already stated. Or we do 96,000. But renegotiate in 12 months. If I was the city administrator, I think I'd be more excited about that because I feel like I have an opportunity in 12 months to correct the budget and renegotiate for a higher salary a little sooner. So I feel like that's a way that we can meet kind of what I guess some people on council are suggesting and put the responsibility in the city administrator's lap to let's fix the budget and that way we can support a larger raise in 12 months.
Where are you at?
I said my piece, so. I think what I say will just create more debate that won't end anywhere, so I've said my piece.
Okay.
And nobody's likes, and we haven't moved except $500, which doesn't feel like a move on our proposal, his proposal.
That's not true.
Except your right language, but nobody likes
severance, the
97.7, the $1,200 raise.
I mean, I'll state 6 months is industry standard. I wouldn't say it's a concession on council's part. It's industry standard, 6 months.
That's kind of what, that's,
I guess,
no, it should be standard on that. It's different in some cities.
yeah, every contract that I looked at today was 1 month for every year of service up to 12 months. Every contract we looked at too.
So for someone with 2 years of service, they'd have 2 months of severance,
No, start at 6 months
starting at 6 months.
and then it's a month for every year of service. Up to 12.
So if Jordan had a contract like that when it started,
You'd be at 8.
he would be at 8 today,
Well,
or not today, when the budget, I mean, when the new contract comes out. So us giving him 6 and then an extra one every 3 isn't bad. I mean, it's like I understand, like, we're making concessions, but we're making concessions that are what should have already been. So it's not like doing COLA, that should have already happened. We're doing the severance things. We're doing what should have already happened and actually a little worse.
I guess I'm looking at this like a contract negotiation and we've got a contract that doesn't include severance right now. It doesn't include COLA, it doesn't include renegotiation, it has a term limit. So, no, I'm looking at it as a contract negotiation and we're making some concessions to get closer to what our city administrator was, you know, what. I'm not necessarily looking at all the other contracts that are every other administrator in the state of Oregon. That's
And I works at mine, so.
All right, so where is council at? Where do you? Go to the 96 and then the salary severance and health insurance severance.
Yes.
I've already said where I'm at, I'm sorry, I mean, I think that that's not enough. But
Again, this is just to get a number so that we can drop the contract, when it goes on to an action item, we can just got, come up for a motion, and we're gonna have some public comment. And there is a possibility that those numbers could change too.
yeah, which is why I already said earlier, if, to make this go through. We have to get consensus for putting a contract, I'm okay with writing down the
96.
996. I just don't like it.
Councilman Keller, how do you feel about it?
I'm not comfortable with it, but. I can be the abstainer in this.
Councilmember Baker?
I'd rather put 98, but if, okay, in general, body wants 96, I would agree that that can be written up.
Councilmember Miller?
Mine's at 96, I said I wouldn't quibble over 500, but anything above that is, I'll have to quibble. So,
Okay,
and we all have different perspectives
No,
on
we totally do.
on energy.
Yeah.
So,
Councilmember Happy?
Yeah, I like the 96 and then renegotiate 12 months. I think we've had a lot of good conversation tonight about this subject, and I think that it's the middle ground between what we're proposing at 100,000 and where Butch and Kathy are sitting and what they're comfortable with, considering the financial state of the city. And like I said, it puts that opportunity back in city administrators' lap to work together to solve this, and then in 12 months, let's renegotiate. I definitely think that the problems that we're facing could be in our rearview mirror in 12 months. Maybe that's naive, but I really think.
I'm hoping.
Is there language that we could put in this that? Like some sort of a bonus or something that says that, I'm sorry, I mean, this is just. Coming out of the top of my head right now, so the language of it would be hard in between negotiating that, but. Like, we get the budget squared away. Like, we develop the revenue that the city needs, well, I mean, that's gonna be a contentious issue, but. Like, I mean, how do we throw them a bone, cause.
That's why we renegotiate in 12 months, that's why, and that's why I think that that's, you're absolutely right, I don't know how you put that language in there, but that's. I believe that, the performance pay, right, you perform, you get paid for it, and. Waiting 2 years, we fix this, issue, and then he has to wait 2 years to get another salary negotiation.
Councilmember Miller?
I think that at any time that we see a bonus or huge influx of money, the council itself can bring it and give a bonus to the CA. So,
The Councilmember Happy's point would to renegotiate next year, that would be sooner than 2 years out, so technically you could make way more. Renegotiating next year.
I feel like we're just gonna get an exact.
The problem with that is if a bond, public safety bond or levy is the direction council wants to go, that vote is not gonna be a year from it's a year from today. We'll be neck deep in the budget again, when we find out when that ballot passes.
It has to be in November, doesn't it?
We have elections next May, right, Jeremiah?
Yeah.
As your term, 4 terms are up, sorry.
Yeah, there's an election every May and every November, but
Yes.
I thought our charter said it had to be in an even year.
Yeah,
yeah, it'd be.
it'd be
November.
this November.
This November.
Yes,
That's not happening. That,
we're
I
not.
took the turnaround, I mean, unless council really wants us to do that as staff, that is a lot of heavy lifting to get that on a ballot this quick of a turnaround. That's also a big ass tax increase. Sorry,
No, I guess this is where I.
Cause we have to have that stuff into the county by mid-August or early August.
Oh, I think we got a deadline. You're gonna.
Yeah, I think we
get it done.
have.
Well,
So we could go down the rabbit trail, what ifs and houses and levies and everything, but I think we're, today, right now, we need to focus on the contract, what we're gonna do.
I don't think any more discussion is gonna help it, give me more clarity.
Okay, so 96,000, salary severance, 6 months, plus 1 month for every 3 years of service, is that right,
Yes.
yes, and then a max of 8 months?
Can we go down to 2 years of service as he noted in most contracts?
It's every 1 year.
1 month for every 2 years of service, is that what you're talking about?
I think that's what Administrator Bennett proposed originally.
He said he'd go to 1 month for every 3 years with the maximum of 8.
That was when we were talking about 100,000.
Yeah. So let me restate, so 96,000, salary severance, glasses on, reading all good stuff. So 6 months plus 1 month for every 3 years of service, max of 8 months. Health insurance severance is, we're gonna do, keep that the same, right, 6 months? And then 1 plus 1 month for every 2 years of service, max of 8 months. Did I get that right?
Yes.
That it? Any other comments? Questions?
Would council like to see that on the June 10th council meeting?
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
If we're having a meeting to discuss a proclamation, can we, or will that take some
We
time?
can't talk about that today.
We can talk about it today.
Sorry, no, I meant, could we put that in the second? I mean, if we're going to have another meeting before June 10th anyway, could that be presented at the meeting we have? No.
If it's prepared, reviewed by the attorney in time, yeah.
it would have to be a single item meeting, that, just like we did here.
It's gotta go to the June 10th. Prepare time, everything go, be notified. Okay. Is that it? We got it? Jordan, is that
Yep,
clear?
I got it.
Okay, do you have any comments or
Nope.
anything? Okay.
I move to adjourn. Yes, I agree.
Roll call vote?
Councilmember Compton,
Aye.
Emily Baker.
Aye.
Aye.
Keller,
Aye.
Miller,
Aye.
Mayor Fallon.
I want to thank council. I know this is tough and I appreciate all the conversation back and forth and